Hi everyone, my name is Brenda, and in this video I will show you how to use the most commonly used terminal commands so you can work with GitHub. So we're going to create one from scratch just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, we're just going to click create repository. So initially GitHub will give you the commands that you need to start adding commits to your repository and push them to this remote repository. But we're going to need to have something local, right? So we're going to create a directory for this new repository. We're going to change directory. Then we want to make sure we initialize it as a Git repo. We also want to add our configurations. Config, global user name, and then your username in GitHub. Now, if you have more than one GitHub account, you probably don't want to use global because global will apply these settings to all repositories. I have more than one account, so I don't want to use that. So once you have the username and entered, you hit enter, and then you do the same for email. This is from your GitHub account. Now, let's say you want to check what email you enter. You can just type in git config user email, and then you can see that that's the email you entered in case you need to change it because you made a typo or something. So now GitHub is actually telling you what you can do. You can add this remote repo so that you can push to it. So we're going to just add this remote. And in my case, I have a special setup where I actually have to add an additional detail to this command, but you don't have to worry about that. If you want to check what your remote repo is, you can do git remote-v to see that it's correct. Now we want to add our first file, so I'm just going to do the touch command to add a readme ND file, and then I'm going to use Vim to edit it. You don't have to worry about not knowing Vim, but you know, if you were to only use a terminal, then you might want to learn Vim. Okay. So now that I have this file with some text in it, I want to add it to be pushed. So I'm using the dot, but I could also use readme to only add the one file, or if there are multiple files and I just want to add everything, I can use the dot. And then you always need a commit message. Okay. And you can push, doing git push-u origin master. And then this should push our changes to the GitHub repo. Okay. Now if you were trying to get help on this repo, you can send the link to your repo, and then other people will have access to it, and then you guys can collaborate. Right. So now let's say that you wanted to create, add some feature to your code, and you want to have that in a separate branch just in case, right? Your master is working perfectly, why mess it up? So you can do this in a couple of different ways. So one way would be to say git branch, and then create the name of the branch. So let's say it's my initials, new branch, right? And then you can go into that branch by typing git checkout bc new branch, and I'm using tab to autocomplete. Notice how the branch has changed here, right? So let's say I want to go back to master. Okay, now I'm back in master. Now I want to create a new branch and check out into it at the same time. you type in git checkout -b, and then bc and the name of the branch. Right? Again, I'm just using bc because those are my initials. Right. So now let's add a file. And we're going to just add some text so we can confirm that it works. Then you can add this file to be pushed. And then you can do git push -origin head. And what this does is it basically creates this branch in your repository. So now you'll have the master branch and the test branch. You can see that I've pushed into this branch. So if you click here, you can see there should be this other branch. You see test branch. So now let's say you're done working on this branch and now you want to merge these changes onto master. So you can check out master and then you can say git merge, and then you can type in the name of the branch you want to merge. Now this is okay, but the only problem is that if you've made, let's say, 10 small commits on that branch and you don't want to keep them all because it's just noise, you added a space here, you deleted a comment, those might be commits that you don't want to save into your commit history per se. So what you can do is, if you don't do git merge, you can do git squash, and basically all those commits get squashed into one. And then it's going to ask you to add a commit message. So instead of having 10 commits, you will have just one. So git commit -m merged sample merge test branch. You're probably more descriptive, but that's what it will be right now. So now, if we check our log, you can see I have my initial commit, right, from when I created the repository, and then I also have the latest commit from the other branch that I merged in. So now let's say that, well, let's push this first. Push. You can see it go back to remote repo. So then you can see there's this sample text in here. Okay. Now let's say I actually made a mistake. I don't want that for whatever reason. I want to undo that change. I can look at the log and grab the hash of the commit you want to go back to. Then do git reset --hard. Okay, so now I'm back to that commit. So if you look at your log, that merge of that branch is no longer there. Okay, and then if we want to push this to a remote repository, we actually have to force it, otherwise it's going to tell us that something's wrong. And actually I'll show you what it looks like. So now it's saying you have to pull because the remote is ahead of your current branch. But we know that we've made a change to this master branch, so we want to override the remote. So we use the -f flag to push forcefully. And with my work, I'm okay using the F because I know that that's what I want to do. If you were collaborating, you probably don't want to do that. And so you have to be careful how you use this. The other thing that I like about the terminal is that if you go into, and it might not be as useful in this case because we don't have a lot of commits. But if you were in some branch with a lot of commits and you want to know, well, what exactly happened in this commit, right? You can actually copy the hash and you can say git show and then pass the hash to that commit, and then it will show you, okay, so this person added this file called sample.txt that has this text hello again. So that's pretty neat because, you know, if you're working on a big code base, then this will help you figure out what changes were done in each commit. And that's also why squashing several commits into one is helpful, because you can summarize what was done in 10 commits into a single one and not clutter the log with, you know, remove the space or added a space or things like that. Okay, so we went over that. Let me then in this in the remote, let me add something. Let me change something here so we can pull down the changes. Hello world. Here I am. Right. So we're gonna save this. Of course, we have to add a commit for this. So now we don't have that in our file, the readme.md. Okay, so git checkout master, and then I want to pull the origin. Okay, so now you can see that one file was changed. It was the readme.md, and something was added. So now if I go back to the master branch, you can see that that has that message, and my local has the same message. So that's how you pull changes. Okay, so now let's say we wanted to take a look at the difference between our test branch and master. You can do git diff. Oh, actually, before we do that, let me create a new file, or at least change something in this file. And you know, I suppose you've made a lot of changes, so how do you view those changes, right? What has changed? You can actually type in git diff, and this will show you what has changed in the current branch. So here you can see it used to be hello again, and I added I am a new addition. So I can that, change text. And now let's say I want to actually see the difference between this branch and master or some other branch. So now I can say, show me the difference between this branch and master. So now you can see that there is a difference in the MD file because I'm missing the here I am that was added from the master change I did in the remote. And then I also have additional text in the sample.txt file. Okay, so that pretty much concludes the most commonly used commands that I use in the terminal. There are many others, but I think these are useful to start with. So good luck. Thank you for watching.